You're listening to the Everyday Astrology Podcast. I'm Hilary Scott, your astrologer, and I'm here to bring you the current planetary conditions. So, there is some really big energy going on in the cosmos, which I'm sure that you are feeling. This week has been full of all kinds of shifts, which also I'm sure you are feeling. The sun moved out of Leo and into Virgo, which is a completely different energy. You're going to definitely feel like the Leo sun is much more sort of let's relax and let's lie around, and kind of like, the lions on they lie around a lot. When they're not like running hard, they're like lying around. So you might have felt a little more lazy during most of August, but now the sun has gone into Virgo, which is totally very focused, discerning, critical, like there's an impetus towards getting it done rather than avoiding getting it done. It's like very healthy way to process life when Virgo energy is active. And we all have Virgo somewhere in our charts. Like there's 12 little pieces of the pie, and we will definitely be able to access this energy somewhere specific in our own birth charts. Like I've got Virgo in my 4th house. So focusing on the home, maybe the roots and family and things like that, which I have definitely been doing, are very relevant when the Virgo energy is active for me. But you might have it in the 11th house, which then it would be, your hopes and your wishes and your connection to society and maybe your in-laws and that sort of 11th house kind of energy. So just figure out where it is in your chart. Astro.com is a wonderful resource to figure out what your birth chart is. Everything's so much is free on there. You can learn tons. So if you want to know where your stuff falls, Astro.com is something that I highly recommend. And I've been using them myself for like 20 years. Is it really that long? Yes, about 20 years. Wow. So the new moon is happening on the 27th. It's a really potent new moon in Virgo. And leading up to it also is very potent. The sun shifts into Virgo that day. Also Mercury and Pluto are trine. So you might be very clear about what it is that's bothering you, like it's been raised to the surface, which is good. You don't want it like festering under the surface, but then it's like kind of triggering all week. So you may really be in touch with something you'd hoped you'd gotten over, but now it's brought up again and you find that you're still triggered by it. It can also, because we've got like this powerful square between the sun and Mars on the 26th, and also Venus and Uranus, it could very well have to do with like anger. You may feel really angry about something, like just so frustrated. And that's that's Mars energy. It wants to go and move and kind of be free to act. And the sun energy and Mars are squaring right now. So this Virgo sun is not very much getting along with this Mars and Gemini energy. So interesting, because they are both ruled by Mercury. So it's very fast moving, like maybe it's information that's upsetting you, some form of communication, some kind of like coming through that sort of information pathway. Could be whatever it is that upsets you. Maybe communication is upsetting. Like I had an argument with my dad because I'm like freaking out about him going and getting the 4th recommendation by our wonderful health authorities. He's managed to dodge 3 bullets, so I'm sort of freaking out about that and try to bring it up with my dad. Like maybe you shouldn't. But I'm immediately, this is very classic. It's like classic sort of thwarting energy for Mars. I'm trying to like activate the energy of a certain communication in a certain direction. And my dad's like, you have your sources, I have mine, like talk to the hand, no interest in looking at what I'm trying to tell him, which is immensely frustrating. And like that's the kind of anger we're dealing with right now. Like I feel frustrated, but I also feel angry because like, why would I be telling you these things or sharing this information with you if it was irrelevant or if it didn't matter. Like it's maddening. And I know all over the world people are experiencing these exact same frustrations. And, I'm sorry for all of us. I'm sorry for everybody that's going through this because it's a lot. So whatever your anger, whatever your frustration is, it's likely going to be poked and prodded and brought up for you to experiencing all over again during this energy that we've got going on right now. So just be aware of that. Also with Venus is trine Chiron. So it does give you an opportunity to do some kind of healing or come to some sort of like understanding about why you're going through what you're going through. I mean, like it sort of helps, I guess. A lot of times, like even with myself, this issue with my dad, I'm like, okay, well, it's okay because it's not personal. It's this like mass formation hypnosis going on in the world, and like I'm not big enough to conquer that, and I can't like somehow break through these barriers of communication to share what's going on. But it sort of helps that at least I know this is happening en masse. Like it's not just, me with my unqualified sources of information and against the mainstream media. It's like happening all over the world. It's not just me. So that somehow helps. It's kind of healing. And that's what Chiron trining Venus will do. It kind of like, it's a soothing balm. Like, yeah, sure, this really sucks. And you're being triggered and you're experiencing all this emotional pain and frustration and all the things that come with it. But here's this healing balm of understanding. Here you're not alone and other people are feeling it too. And it does help. Like it really does help. So take what you can get as far as that goes. And also reach for what soothes you. Like I have this ladies group that I'm a part of, and we all kind of see things that are going on the same way. And it's very helpful for us to share our frustrations and what we're experiencing, because it helps, like, just to know you're not alone. So do reach out into the world and like, try to find like-minded people, because you may have gone through a lot of loss lately and a lot of frustration and anger and all these things that can be very isolating and depressing and lonely. There's some pretty heavy energy on the planet while the new is being built on this sort of quick demolishing rubble of the old. We still got to like witness the end of everything and then also be responsible to build up the new. And it's a lot. It's a lot to ask of anybody or any situation. It's a lot. So just be aware that anger is often like there to protect you. It's not irrational or irrelevant or uncivilized. Just make sure you have a channel for the anger, because you're probably going to be feeling it. Make sure, maybe you get some more exercise in, or you do something physically demanding, or like Virgos love to do, you could power wash something. If you have one of those like power washing, like that you clean the sides of very dirty things with, or cement, those machines, those are like super therapeutic. I actually just read somewhere that they were doing these studies on how to use technology to like help mental health, and how video games could maybe be used to bolster mental health. And they were actually created a power washing video game. And that was one of the tests. So in the video game, you got your power washing wand and dirty things to clean. And I'm like, wow, that's where we're at. We're going to imaginarily power wash to relax. But I can attest to it. Power washing is a very satisfying thing, because you can get like super dirty, disgusting things clean in ways that, you could never do without this magic power washing wand. So may you have the magic power washing wand aimed at your own life and in areas that need cleaning, and clean it up. You'll feel better. Any kind of cleaning that you do now will be very well received, because Virgo just loves cleaning. It's so orderly. It's an energy that can see the flaws, see what's wrong, think very clearly, and like right the situation. It's such a good, pure energy, Virgo. It can be like distorted. It can create a lot of anxiety. People with Virgo in their charts often will feel like anxious about their health, anxious about everything that could go wrong, maybe anxious about germs, anxious about like just everything. And it's just because of they have this like hyper awareness that most people don't have. So they can just see all the possibilities in a very like all-encompassing way. And it can be too much. So if you do find that you're anxious, just remember to like breathe, just come back into your body and like just be calm and you'll be fine. You're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Everybody's going to get through this, except for the people who are not going to get through this. But there's nothing we can do about that. So it's just learning to kind of, I guess, ride the waves, whatever one you're on. Like maybe you're on a wave of fear. Maybe you're on a wave of grief. Maybe it's joy. Like those joy waves you really want to like latch onto, because the higher we can bring our energy up, the better. But the Virgo energy will have us seeing everything that's not right in our world. And having the right before the new moon on the 27th, there's the square between the sun and Mars, which is a lot, but there's also a square between Venus and Uranus. And that's, again, like breaking you out of your rut. Like, what is it that you want to create in your relationships? What do you value? Like, is there going to be something you value that isn't actually good for you and needs to be removed? That could be, that could be a thing with Uranus. It shakes up reality. It wants to like bust you out of your ruts. So maybe you value like, your like shots of whiskey in the evening, but find you're having heartburn or something the next day. And so I'm totally just spitballing ideas here. And so what you value is actually causing you harm. So Uranus will come along in an aspect like this and maybe make it really obvious that your whiskey shots are causing the heartburn, like make you really remember. And it's like a sudden sort of realization. So it's like that. What do you value, and what are you like placing value on that might actually be harmful to you? I think, that Virgo should help you be able to see all of that right now. And you probably need to like eat more greens that hopefully are not covered in pesticides, and drink lots of clean water. The new moon is a time when you have a chance to plant new seeds, to begin again. And Virgo is like a very fertile energy to plant things. It's very good at nurturing. Like if a Virgo plants a seed or starts to take care of a plant, they're going to take care of that plant. They're going to remember how to take care of the seed. They're going to look up the exact perfect right directions for taking care of this particular seed, and they're going to nurture it. It's a very good energy to figure out where you can be of service, like how your skills can make a difference in the world and in what way you can help. And it's like a no nonsense kind of energy. My sister-in-law is a Virgo, and like I just super appreciate her. Like I'll get confused, like if I have a big task of moving things or something to do, I'll like kind of get confused. Like if it's too much for me, I'll go into this Neptune conjunct my Mars and Moon confused state, and it's super frustrating. But my Virgo sister-in-law will be like clearly seeing exactly what needs to happen, which like bumps me back out of confusion into, okay, this is what I have to do. So it's a very clear energy, very clear seeing, clear doing. And also like whatever you need to do to take care of your health will be highly like highlighted. It'll be highlighted. So you'll be able to see more clearly what to do, and be very like you'll progress rapidly, and you'll make headway, and you'll appreciate what you've done and how far you've come. After the new moon, which you might want to really take time to like write everything down, like be aware of what you're wishing, what you're calling forth, what you're leaving behind, because it does make you feel kind of more centered and powerful when when you're on top of everything, essentially. Like you're steering the boat. You're not just bobbing around on the ocean with whatever comes. You're actually trying to steer. Sometimes there's storms and you can't steer anymore for a while, but when the waters are calm again, you can figure out what direction to go. So though these are choppy times for 100% sure, you still do have your ability to steer this boat. So keep that in mind. Right after the new moon, we have like some good aspects and some kind of tricky ones all mixed into one Sunday, depending on where you are, of course. We have most difficult is the opposition between Venus and Saturn. And that really is like, there's no way around it. If you have this in your chart somewhere or another difficult Venus Saturn aspect, you will probably feel this. And what you feel when Venus is opposite Saturn is sadness, feeling like you're not worthy, that you're not worth attention or love or acknowledgement or anything. It can be very like you can feel like a reject or not listened to. Like all the really painful things that humans go through can be linked to Saturn. And I mean, there's more painful things, but this is definitely an area like the feeling of abandonment, rejection, like just being left alone, like without any love, is the feeling of Saturn Venus opposition. So that might be triggered for you. You might feel like that. You might feel like the reject or the one that isn't worth it or abandoned. And that's painful stuff. But you don't want to, like, on one level, you don't want to wallow in it. On another level, you need to feel your feelings. So what's coming up is valid. So just make sure you're there to process what comes up, to feel your feelings. Sure, you may like perceive reality in this way that makes you feel abandoned and rejected, but why did this occur? What have you gained from it ultimately? And even though, like, why would you have planned this into your astrological game plan before you came onto Earth? What could you have learned? Maybe you learned to become very independent and to like rely on your own resources and to turn to yourself for strength and acknowledgement, which is a real blessing, because then you do not have to live up to the expectations of others or the people who rejected you or like the family dynamic that you were a part of that you've been ousted from. Now you are your own authority and you call the shots, and you don't have to deal with any of the, the weird psychological family karmic issues that can go down in families. So that's a blessing too. So if you can reframe whatever you're going through to be something that is actually benefiting you in some way, that's what you definitely want to do with this energy, for sure. There is like an opposition between the moon and Neptune too. So it can be like a sleepy, dreamy, like maybe you just want to lie around and like you need to just lie around. You just need to, I don't know if everybody needs to lie around. Like when I'm tired, I need to like lie around for like, it feels like days on end. Just don't do anything. But my hubby, like he likes to have like 7-minute power naps, and that's like lying around for him. So we all have our different, like what that means for us, what it means to just like surrender and no longer be going forward with such a vigorous pace. We might need to take time for that. And you'll know, if you follow your instincts, you'll know exactly what you need to do to relax. So Virgo season is great for all kinds of forward progress in the organization realm. So do that. Make sure that you clean out your garage, or maybe there's clutter beside your house, or you have a storage bin somewhere that needs to be cleared out, that's just taking up time and space and energy. And while you're doing all of this, just know that you are like the physical things you move and change in your world around you are also being changed psychologically and energetically in like kind of the esoteric world as well. So when you're feeling out of control or you're feeling confused, it's always almost always a wonderful idea to do some kind of cleaning. They say when you clean out your fridge, you're actually clearing your mind. So if you're feeling confused and uncertain, clean your fridge and you'll feel better. If you can't like understand what you're seeing or you feel confused, cleaning your windows can make you feel like you're seeing things a lot more clearly. So, and if you use that intention while you're doing these things, even better, because then you're calling forth your creative power to bring out a reality that you want to live. So for the moon in Virgo and the new moon part of the moon phases, it really is a good time to start things. Like, especially when you start things that have to do with Virgo stuff. And always the kind of highest expression of Virgo energy is to be of service, to help, to like think, how can I help? What can I do? How can I help? And that will line you up with situations that allow you to use your skills and your talents to be of service to others, which is a very like high calling. But at the same time, you use your discernment. The whole only help those who will help themselves is probably a good idea. But discernment and focus and making lists and checking things off your list and doing all the things to put your world in total order will be heavily supported during this Virgo transition that we're in right now, as the sun shines through the light of Virgo. There is also good energy coming up the following week too, where you'll feel kind of more buoyant and like things aren't so heavy. I mean, things are heavy, but you'll feel better. Maybe you're going to be like kind of interpreting it in a better way or processing it in a way that can help you relax and keep moving forward. It is a good time for moving forward. Things are shaky, but like shaky in a way that keeps us moving. It's just so lovely. So I do hope that you are able to make the most of this Virgo new moon with all these pretty powerful aspects around it, and that you're able to also find a channel for your anger and your frustration, which you're surely feeling. I mean, we're human after all. And, exercise or do something that allows you to get rid of that anger in a way that isn't destructive, because you don't want to have an accident or do something stupid just because you're so furious. It's better to have it out, but in a way that is helpful rather than harmful. So lovely. Thank you so much for listening. Very much appreciated. If you have any questions about astrology or are interested in having your own chart read, I do chart readings, which is like my favorite thing in the world. And hopefully it can help you gain some insight into what your strengths are, maybe what your obstacles are, maybe how long your obstacles are going to last before things shift. All that kind of stuff can be seen in your birth chart. So thank you so much for listening, and may you make the most of this Virgo new moon.